Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the University of Denver's virtual information session. My name is Wahab Carter. I'm the Southwest Regional Director for the University of Denver. I'm also an alum of the University of Denver, so I do reside in Texas, and I do have Texas as my main area of overseeing and reading and reviewing applications. For those of you that applied and admitted, congratulations. For those of you that are in the process of being reviewed, just know that we're reading along and getting the files read. And I'll actually be on campus next week to make our decisions for the regular decision pool. So news will be on the way. But thank you all for your interest in the University of Denver. And I'm excited to introduce our speaker for this session. So Professor Joe Brown is going to be joining us. He's associate professor here at the University of Denver. He's a documentary filmmaker, and his work has been screened all around the world in various different venues. So hopefully he'll tell you a little bit about some of his amazing accomplishments. But we're excited to have you, Professor Brown, and we'll let you take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Wahab. I appreciate it. And I don't know how many folks we have joining us from Texas, but I did live in Texas for 3 years. So we're in good company.
Yeah, and real quick, Joe, I wanted to let the group know for you folks, Professor Brown is going to be giving a presentation. We do have a Q&A feature. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A feature. I believe you have access to. And at the end of the presentation, we'll do our very best to answer all of the questions that you may have. All right. Sorry about that, Professor, but go ahead.
That's all right. Thank you so much, Wahab. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to have the opportunity to present with you tonight. So, again, my name is Joe Brown, and I'm a professor in the Media, Film, and Journalism Studies department. So, as Wahab said, I'm going to present for a bit. I've got about a 15 slide deck here just to give you an overview of what we do in our department here at the University of Denver. And then at the end, I'll see what questions there are that have come in through the Q&A, and I'll do my best to answer those. And if for some reason I can't answer some of those, I'll give you my email and you can email me directly, and then I'll get you the answers. So again, welcome. Let's see, I already said a few things about myself, but I guess I can do a little bit more of an introduction. I teach here in Media, Film, and Journalism Studies. I've been teaching at DU for 6 years. I have about 13, 14 years of teaching experience. I also taught at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for about 6 or 7 years. And I represent the entire department of Media, Film, and Journalism Studies, but my work specifically is in the film area. I am a documentary filmmaker. I also teach documentary film history and other film courses. My specific work is in environmental documentary. So I've made documentaries on a variety of environmental issues, some of which are on Amazon, Apple TV, and things like this. So I teach both production in theory, and I do sometimes teach fiction, but my area is a little bit more on the documentary side. My email is there for you. It's a real name, Joe Brown. It sounds generic, but it is a real name. I could show you my ID, but I'm not going to. So feel free to contact me there if you have questions at the end of this. Pretty easy to remember, just joe.brown@du.edu. So our major is Media, Film, and Journalism Studies, or our department, I should say. And within that department, we have four different majors. We have Media Studies, which is our smallest area right now, but it is growing. And you can see that there's approximately 25 majors currently in this area. And so this is a little bit more of a studies degree where people learn how to interpret what we call media text, or, analyze movies, analyze the news. It treats all media. It's not like one particular area, film or journalism or something like this. It also looks at things like political campaigns and is growing in popularity. So the other majors we have are film studies and production. That's my area. We have approximately 75 majors. It is growing. It is the largest major in the department right now, although we do see growth in all areas. Journalism studies is another major within our department. Right now, we have about 55 students in the journalism studies area. So journalism studies, they do study journalism, of course, look at the history of journalism, but there is the practice of journalism as well. So there's actual writing that goes on, and there is a multimedia piece as well. And there's a fair amount of overlap between film studies and production and the multimedia journalist, or the journalists who are making work, to obviously show as like a video or news package. So some of our journalists will take the intro to journalism production courses and then eventually move on to the cinematography course in film to kind of refine some of their skills. Strategic communications is another area. We have approximately 45 majors within the strategic communication area, and that is growing. So this is an area where students explore things like political campaigns, health communication, what we sometimes call public relations, branding, things like this. And then we also have the minor in media film. We just call it a minor in like the department name, Media, Film, and Journalism Studies, and that's quite strong with 90 minors. And that's where students come in and just take a small offering of our courses to complete a minor. Students at the University of Denver are generally required, and certainly within our area, to have a major and then a minor. So we frequently have students who are majoring in something else, but then minoring in our area. Sometimes that does cause them to pursue a second major or, a double major. So the majors at the University of Denver generally, and certainly within our department, are 40 credits. If that seems like a lot when you're comparing to other schools, I'll just mention that our courses are each worth 4 credits. So we have 10 courses for the major. The minor would be 20 credits or 5 courses. We are somewhat unique at the University of Denver. We are on what's called the quarter system, where other schools are frequently on the semester system. Some California schools are also on this quarter system. So it might be better called the trimester system. So we start in September and we do 10 weeks, and then we do 10 weeks from January to March, and then 10 weeks again from later March into early June. And so our credit count is a little different. So if you see any discrepancy in the numbers or the comparison of the numbers to other schools that are based on the semester system, you're not actually taking more courses. We just do the numbers differently. One thing I like about the quarter system at the University of Denver is that we start in September and we go till about Thanksgiving, and then we don't come back until January. And I like this because it's just like a really nice long break, and it gives the opportunity for travel and seeing family and things like this. So that's just a little bit of the background of the credit situation and how the courses roll out, but those are the majors and the minor. So throughout the department, I'd say there is a theme or a thread of storytelling. Obviously, in the film area, we write scripts, we do documentary stories. We're always talking about storytelling. But in the other areas, we're really, really interested in storytelling as well. So strategic communication, how do you tell a story to communicate a crisis that might be affecting a company or a brand? Journalism, how do you tell a nonfiction story? And how do you get that story out to the world? Media studies, we look a little bit more at, how we're deciphering stories and how stories are influencing our culture. And so we're really interested in storytelling. And we frequently have master classes with folks who are pretty prominent in the field. You can see this photo with screenwriter Kevin Wilmot, who wrote Black Klansman, a Spike Lee film. Quite a good film. So we're always interested in bringing in guest speakers. And as I said, we have this thread of storytelling that runs throughout the major. So pedagogical approaches and departmental competencies. It might just be best to say like teaching methods and, expertise in the areas. We are always interested across the board in teaching critical thinking skills. So we believe that, a 4-year degree should be something that prepares you to go out into the world and be a good citizen. And certainly we prepare you for jobs and for your specific area, film, journalism, whatever it might be. But we also really push critical thinking about how you're consuming media, especially. I talked about storytelling practices, tools and technology. So we're pretty big on tech. We don't say like that we teach button pushing, but then again, I do teach pretty high level tech, and we know the technology is important. We have high tech cameras. We spend about $100,000 a year on equipment to upgrade every year, to refresh, to fix some broken things. And I'll mention a little bit more about that in a minute. But we teach the theory, right, behind using the technology. We talk about making motivated decisions in putting together political campaigns or doing some kind of film or journalistic piece, right? We don't just do things because they seem cool or look cool. We think about why are we making these lighting choices? Why are we using this language, right? We're very interested in multicultural, global, intercultural perspectives. We have classes that look at political campaigns or media campaigns, brands from around the world. The same with film, same with journalism. We're very interested in research and scholarship. We teach both quantitative and qualitative methods. Certainly, we can prepare people for graduate school and beyond, doctoral programs. I'm sure we're not there yet, but we can get students there if that's a desire of theirs. We also consider creative work to be research and scholarship. So again, for example, for me, I'm publishing by publishing, right? Where some professors would be publishing books, I'm publishing films, and some of our journalists are working for places like CNN and other outlets. We're also very interested in justice, equity, diversity, inclusion, and internationalization. So some of our courses, as I mentioned, will treat different areas of the world. We've had film courses on specific histories of cinema from Bollywood to, other areas in the world. We've also actually recently introduced and had a travel course to Bollywood in India, which of course was amazing. I didn't get to go, but I heard it was great. Other specializations, this is like really kind of drilling down deep, or areas of strength. So these are areas that faculty are researching in, and you could talk to each faculty member about these things, sometimes get involved in research or creative projects. But we have global and multicultural campaigns. Health communication is becoming bigger in our department. Promotional culture, nation branding, and public diplomacy. So what is nation branding? Good question. It's not my area of research, but I know the faculty member who does this, and she's very interested in how nations position themselves in the world, the image they project of themselves to other countries, and how that can sometimes influence policy. Feminist media studies is something some of our faculty focus on. We do both fiction and documentary filmmaking. We say narrative frequently when we're talking about fiction film. We do a lot with web design, multimedia design. I've talked about environmental documentary. That's my work. We have faculty members who are working on issues related to immigrant workers and the role of media in the everyday lives of low-wage workers. We have faculty who are really interested in youth journalism. So young people who are inventing, the next news formats and, TikTok. And we've had classes specifically on TikTok and other social media platforms. We have a really great class on producing video for social media. So I'm not going to necessarily go through all of these, but you can see some of the other areas that faculty are interested in. We also have some pretty traditional academic areas like mass media effects. How does the media affect people? And then media law and ethics, which many students think is really intriguing and also somewhat difficult because it's kind of like law light. So just a couple other highlights here for opportunities within the department, and then a little bit about how we advise. We are a private university. We pride ourselves on having smaller classes, especially within the major. So some of our classes are 10 students, 15 students, 30 students. The hands-on classes never go over 20. When I pull out cameras and things like that, it's frequently around 15 to make sure that like everybody's getting attention. Obviously, at any university, when you start and you're taking English 101 or something, that class will be larger. But when you get into the major, the classes get smaller. Within our department, you will be assigned an advisor that is a faculty member within the department. It could be me, especially if you're in film. So we make sure that we're walking you through the major. You will also have a university advisor who will help with other things, but we make sure to offer a lot of like one-on-one time. So other opportunities for advising, I would say, like in guidance, come through our capstone courses. So we have courses that allow you to work really close in groups with the professor and produce portfolio level work that would look good on your resume. There's a lot of advising that goes on there. Everyone comes out of that course with some kind of publishable type of product, whether it be a report or a media artifact or whatever it might be, film, journalism. So other opportunities we have for people to get involved and get some advising and get some experience, work with professors, work with other students. We have the Film Production Club, the Film Lovers Society, we have a photo club, we have a radio club. The Rocky Mountain Reverb is a podcast that's quite popular. We do offer travel courses. I'm working on one to Costa Rica for environmental filmmaking. The film students are also, some of them are going to Los Angeles soon over spring break. It was a tough decision to make with the fires, but we're moving forward with it. We're meeting with alumni in Los Angeles who are quite successful. We also have a student newspaper, the DU Clarion, and the Clarion is both digital and it's still printed. Many of the students and faculty on campus enjoy getting the print copy, so I'm glad that tradition continues. DU Media, you can check that out. That's on the web, as is the Clarion. DU Media is a platform for a lot of our video work, especially on the journalism side. And then I also have the Kennedy Mountain campus in here. This is a somewhat new feature to the University of Denver, about 3 years old. We have a mountain campus, hundreds of acres, all sorts of opportunity up there. We do take classes up there. I've taught a full class up there, in environmental documentary class. It's quite the experience. So those are just some more opportunities for getting involved with faculty and other students, for getting some advising and just getting experience. In terms of technology and resources, I've hinted at some of this, so I'm not gonna go too far into it. But in terms of like the film and journalism side, and anyone doing creative work and using a lot of technology, we have the full Creative Suite by Adobe. We do teach DaVinci Resolve as well, which is a high-end editing system. In journalism, they're working with 4K cameras, specifically Canon cameras. So that's, really up to date. In film, we do a little bit more. We've got the 6K cameras, Sony cameras, Red cameras, kind of top of the line stuff. We've got drones and all the equipment that you could ask for. As I said, we're spending about $100,000 a year on equipment. We are pretty excited about the fact that in the intro classes, we're able to offer what we call a one-to-one ratio. What is a one-to-one ratio of like camera to student? So that means you get to have one for the entire class. There may be group work, but you get to do work individually with a camera that we lend out to you. In the higher level classes, it's not always one camera to every student because the cameras are much more expensive, like $10,000 cameras. So that's where it might be a group of 3 sharing a camera or something like that. We have 24-hour editing labs, and our gear room is open pretty close to 35 hours a week. So there's a lot of access to technology, and we pride ourselves in getting that technology into students' hands. Okay, engaging opportunities. So you can just see and read some information here. I mentioned that we had Kevin Wilmot here a few years ago, a writer of BlacKkKlansman. Last year we had Peter Lauer in residence. Peter Lauer is a producer and director of a lot of films and TV shows. Emily in Paris, in particular, he was one of them. William Shrek he's an alum, and he's been involved in some of the more recent Scream franchise releases, or Scream, I should say, Scream, the horror. We also have folks outside of film who come. So we've had the regional VP for Effective TV. We've had people from Comcast. Quite a few people come. And I've already talked about my environmental class up at the Kennedy Mountain campus. We have internships within the department. We require students to complete internships, and we have a director of internships who will set you up or help you get set up with an internship. So journalism, strategic communication, and film are the majors that require internships, not media studies as of now. And Dr. Erica Polson is really great at getting students connected with internships. We're in a large metro region. This city of Denver is now something like 700,000 people, same size as Boston. The metro area of the Front Range, as we call it, between some of the southern cities up to Boulder and Fort Collins is 3 million. There are a lot of opportunities in Denver and the area for internships. And we also have students complete internships remotely and also say in the summer or something at some other location. So you can either do it outside of Denver, but or inside of Denver. There's a lot of opportunity here. Recent internships include internships with The Tonight Show, Denver Post, Ski Magazine, Nature Conservancy. You can read all of these and see that there's quite the diversity of internships, Special Olympics of Colorado. So lots of opportunity there. uh, last quarter's internship, so even more recent. The Denver Anti-Tracking Alliance. Some people are actually interning right here at DU for our athletics and marketing. And as you may know, we have like the best hockey team in the nation. So that's pretty fun. People have done things for Denver Life Magazine, Denver Metro Caring, film companies, all sorts of organizations. And again, we help place students in those internships. Okay, so recent employers include some featured here. So we've sent students out to work for the city of Denver, Fox 31 Denver, Red Rocks Amphitheater, which, as you may know, is a really amazing music venue, internationally known, just up the road. Conservation International, we've had students go to work at the Ellen DeGeneres show in the past, CBS, and some students actually get jobs here at the University of Denver, which is pretty cool. We're very big into experiential learning. I think I've spoken at length about that, but we get your hands on the gear. We get you producing with faculty, with other students. We frequently have clients that we serve in classes. I've actually done work for the Nature Conservancy and other groups where we're producing media for them, for their social media, for their websites, the Audubon Society. I know others have done work specifically in strategic communication to develop campaigns for local organizations, especially nonprofits. From any type of nonprofit, we've had professors work with a project called organization called the Women's Bean Project, which is an organization that gives women who were incarcerated employment when they come out of prison and gets them job skill training and things like this. And we've had our StratCom professors work with that organization and others like it. We're very big into portfolio development. We're very big into getting students out into the community. I think we're getting close to the end. Yep. So again, my name is Joe Brown. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies, filmmaker, and film professor. You are more than welcome to find me at DU. That's my office information, 103A. That's the address. You can email me as well. Feel free to email me as many questions as you want. If for some reason I don't respond, just send me an email and say, hey, I'm bumping this up. I get a lot of email. I'm pretty good at responding, but I don't want anyone to be afraid to bug me. I'm always happy to jump on a Zoom with any prospective students, meet for coffee, anything like that. Tell you more about the department, show you around, give you a tour, let you see our gear room, whatever it might be, or connect with you with other professors or students. So I will end it there. And Wahab, if you have questions, I don't know if I've seen them yet because I'm not as familiar with the Zoom interface, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, Joe, there's a few questions
There they are.
in the Q&A. So if it's better, I can read them to you. So the first question
Yep.
is, how many courses focus on screenwriting?
Okay. Yeah. And so I did just find them. Thanks,
Okay.
Wahab. So we have many courses that focus on screenwriting. There are two courses, 2 out of the 10 specifically focus on screenwriting. There's an intro to script writing that everyone takes in the film program. And then there's an advanced screenwriting that you do not have to take if you're not into screenwriting, but it is an elective and many students take it. So it's two, specifically with the term like screenwriting in the title and that focus exclusively on that. But in many of the other classes, you are also writing scripts. So I don't want to say limit it to those two classes, but there's 2 out of the 10 courses that are specifically screenwriting. And then other classes will have small projects where you'll write shorter scripts. Students can also do independent studies with professors and sometimes write longer work or get kind of one-on-one coaching there, like more specific one-on-one coaching. So then I see how many film students go on to grad school. So it's a good question. So we've had quite a few. We just had a student last year get into USC, which many of you may know is in California, and it's considered one of the best film schools in the world. We sent students to other really good film schools as well. So I would say, I don't know if I can put a percentage. I could try to get that info, but I would say maybe 20% of students, 25% of students pursue grad school like in the few years after finishing our program. In all honesty, I mean, I've been to film grad school and most film grad schools, especially the top tier ones, want to see people have a experience in the world before they go on to grad school. So they don't always look at your application as kindly if you just finished your 4 year and then you're immediately going into grad school. They want to see you go do some work. So a lot of our students go work in the industry before they apply. And then we try to keep good track of them, but sometimes, people get off into their lives and I don't hear about them for a little while. And every few years I'll get an update. But we send a fair amount to good grad schools. But again, I mean, I actually recommend working in the industry a little bit before you go on to grad school, at least in terms of film. Are there affiliations for film students with any production companies or festivals? So good question. We do have alum who have companies in Denver. Futuristic Films, Mass Effects is another one. They do all sorts of like After Effects and graphics and things like that. And we do have a lot of festivals here in Denver. We frequently have students attend the Denver Film Festival. DU always hosts a screening of a Denver Film Festival film at the campus. And of course, you can go out into the city as well. There's rumor that Sundance is going to move to Boulder, Colorado. And the University of Colorado Boulder has some film stuff. They've always been very experimental. I'm not trying to knock them. I went to see you at one point in the past, and they're fine. But I think we do really amazing film, whereas they're more experimental type of film that's a little bit more niche. But there's a chance that Sundance might move to Boulder. You can read that in the news. I think it would be 2026 or 2027. So that's an opportunity. We have the Telluride Film Festival here in Colorado, along with many others. And Telluride is one of the best in the world. Okay, what study abroad opportunities are there in the major? That is also a good question. So DU is very big with study abroad. The percentage of students who study abroad at DU is quite high. I don't want to misquote it. I don't know if you know, Wahab, but I know it's really, really high. We're one of the big or top study abroad.
Yeah, essentially, almost 3 out of every 4 students, almost 70% of our students study abroad.
70%. Yeah. So most students at the University of Denver study abroad, many of them in their junior year, the fall quarter. So in the major, basically the way it works is, you go abroad and you take courses, and we usually counsel you beforehand, like on what courses will transfer into the major. And we ask basically that you send us some information on the course at the university you'll be attending. We have official schools that we work with, so students can choose schools, but we have particular schools that we have really good relationships with that make those transfers credits really easy. But there are frequently times when students just need general electives, so they can take general electives when they are abroad. And even if it doesn't fit into the major, it fits for, your general requirements to get to the total credit count to complete the degree at the University of Denver. But we usually do have students fit 2 or 3 courses. Maybe I want to say 1 or 2 into the major from studying abroad. So I think those are the questions I see for now. Wahab, are there any others I'm missing?
No, I think that's great. So thank you, Professor Brown. I know you're extremely busy, so thank you for taking the time out to meet with our prospective students and their family members.
Yeah, well, thank you all. And again, my email's there, joe.brown@du.edu. Feel free to reach out.
So once again, thank you all for spending time with us. If you do have other questions about the admissions process or need to connect with any other division or departments, I do have a link with Meet Your Counselor. So you can directly meet with your specific admissions rep, and they will gladly guide you accordingly based on your needs and based on the questions or the connections that you're looking for. So University of Denver Admissions webpage also has a YouTube that will also have these recordings of all of our virtual presentations and virtual sessions. So you can use that as a resource as well. But that will conclude our session. Once again, thank you, Professor Brown. Thank you, family and friends, for joining us. And have a great rest of your evening. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.